Yo, welcome back, FitBiz Podcast family. Hope you all are doing well. Today, I'm going to talk about an exciting subject that it means a lot to me. It means a lot to, or it should mean a lot to you. But it's probably something that's overlooked, probably something that is more of a vague concept that you hear about, but not many people understand how to actually do. And that's all about building a community. Okay, a community within your coaching program, community within your audience, and have this sense of like, wow, I understand exactly, what your company stands for, and your internal clients have this deep, deep sense of like camaraderie and like they're a part of something special. Okay, like Russell Brunson says in Expert Secrets, is like the key to every successful basically internet business or online business that he's seen and that he's studied over the years. They have three key things. They have number one, an attractive and charismatic leader at the front. Okay, so that's you if you're listening to this. Number two, they have a future-based cause. Okay, there's a future-based cause that is like something that, collectively people in your audience, your clients feel like they're moving towards. And then number three, a new and unique opportunity. So that's where having like a unique offer, a unique opportunity switch is important. But the second point really comes down to community, right? A future-based cause. So I'm going to cover all of that today. So let's jump in. So we often hear, in our business in IFCA, people always say like, man, your community is unlike anything that we could have ever imagined before joining. And so, this isn't something that we've been able to just snap our fingers and implement a couple of tactics and create. It's been a labor process, over the last like 5 or 6 years. So keep in mind as I share some of these systems, this takes time. It doesn't just happen. Okay. So most coaches really don't even understand like what community means. So, let alone how to create it. So let's define it first. So community is where your clients are able to interact with one another and they feel a shared sense of support, experience, especially shared values and camaraderie. So it's a deep inherent need that we have and that we strive for as humans, but only some people are lucky enough to get it when it comes to actually a community. And I'm not just talking about a community like inside of a coaching program, but just like your local community. Do you have friends? Do you have people that you feel like you have that deep need filled? Because that is a deep inherent need for people. And so how do we even begin to shape our community? So again, it'd be impossible for me to share everything we've done over the last 5-6 years inside of our program, but a lot of things we do help within our IFCA students. We help them implement a lot of these things, but the constant reminder is, you got to put these things in place, but they take time to fester and develop. You're not going to just be like, oh, I want to build a better community and implement a couple of things. And then a week later, it's like, oh my gosh, I have this thriving community. It takes time. So, but either way, I'm going to leave you guys with a few key concepts. And beyond this episode, if you shoot me a message on Instagram and just shoot me a message that says like community, one of our team members will shoot you a private message where we'll share with you 2 of our trainings from our private client portal. One all about just building client communities in terms of like group chats and just groups, like how to manage that, and then also how to host effective client community calls. I'll just share that with you for free. So because I wanted to cover that on this episode, but I don't want this episode to go longer than like 15 minutes. So there's like 7 concepts I'm going to cover, and this is going to be kind of just rapid fire. So concept number one, your culture shapes your community. Okay, and your core values shape your culture. So what do we mean by culture? Culture is made up of 2 things: the language we use and the rituals that we practice. So when it comes to language, that first is defined by your core values. You have to get crystal clear on what those are, and you have to communicate them often and always inside of your group. So we have our core values inside of IFCA, which are number 1, extreme ownership, number 2, relentless growth, and number 3, authentic connection. Now we talk about those a lot, but we've also distilled those down into our 4 core pledges. So when a student comes into IFCA, we have them agree to abide by these 4 pledges. These 4 pledges are tied into our core values, and they're essentially a framework that says, here's what we'll do as a company and as coaches, and then here's what we expect you to do as a client. And those are things that help us to instill and to make sure that we're on the same page when it comes to values and expectations. So we can revert back to that if somebody is like outside of alignment and say, hey, you agreed to this, but you're not holding up to your end of the bargain. So the other key here when it comes to establishing your values, your pledges, it's like you have to be ruthlessly authentic in yourself. So once you have your values established, you can start to create like other language. Okay, so unique slang for things, terms for your client community, right? Maybe you have like your carb queens or girl gang or hot moms or DILF squad, right? It's like your vibe attracts your tribe. So you want to like really highlight what it is unique about how you talk, about how you do things, and start to create some like innuendos, some phrases within your community, even some frameworks. That's why we often talk about your coaching frameworks, your methods. That all ties back into the community as well. Okay. All right. So concept number 2, it's much easier to build a badass community. All right. When your program is a perfect choice for a few people instead of a good choice for many. So what I mean is, like, good luck trying to mix, a 23-year-old young professional bro with a 46-year-old mom of 3. You're going to have a hell of a time creating community when you have such variety of types of clients. So that's why niches get the bitches, right? The more segmented you are with your like psychographics and the type of people that you work with, the more a community will start to form in and of its own, right? So concept number 3, having a really great community chat. We've kind of moved away from Facebook groups as of late, at least suggesting groups. I think Facebook groups are great or fine for, like an IFCA where it's a lot more information based, because there's just a lot more questions that come in related to business than there are when it comes to fitness. Fitness, we like things like Slack, Trainerize, Voxer, even WhatsApp or Discord. Any of those can work. It just kind of depends on your client is going to dictate which you should use. So again, if you shoot me that message on Instagram, I'll send you a training on how to decide what group chat's best for you, or what community platform, in other words, is best for you. But once you have this platform set up, you want to have some systems, right? Some systems where you're constantly like shouting out members. Maybe that's like every time a new member joins, you do a welcome post where you highlight some details about the person, who they are, where they're from, some of their interests. And that allows them to get like introduced to the community, right? Maybe they introduce themselves even. Birthdays, right? So celebrating birthdays. Then maybe you can have like certain topics throughout the week that you give prompts. And I would only have like 2 or 3 of these total, because otherwise it's just a lot to keep up with. But, get creative and try to think of something that's like relevant to your ICA. So maybe you have like goal setting Sunday, where everybody posts what their main focus is for the upcoming week, or self-care Sunday. What's somebody doing, or like post something that you're doing for yourself today. Training Tuesday, upload a video for feedback of you in like one exercise or a set. Or maybe it's like a lot of your clients are golfers, or you work with golfers, right? So maybe once a week, it's going to be like Golf Swing Tuesday. Upload a video of your golf swing so we can give feedback on that. Again, there's, the options here are endless. You can go motivational Mondays. It could be like a motivational thought. Maybe you go live every Monday. You ask the community to share quotes that they've seen recently that have stood out to them. Wednesday wins. This is a great one where everybody shares like one win they've had so far in the week. Thankful Thursday, right? Everybody posts like one thing they're thankful for the week. So again, I could just keep going here. Fun Fridays. Everybody posts something that's fun that they're doing this weekend. So an example of this, maybe like having fun, maybe that's a core value of yours. Fun, right? Things should be fun in life. And maybe you guys are constantly like joking off. You're like a silly goose. And like that's part of the culture and the values of your community. So something like Fun Fridays would be great, right? Because that reinforces the culture and the values that you're trying to establish. Now, alternatively, maybe you're not very fun, and that's okay. Maybe you're like super hardcore, disciplined, principled, in which case Fun Fridays might be like a little bit awkward, right? Versus like discipline Mondays, right? What's one thing that you're going to tighten up in your discipline this week? So it all comes down to like what you value, and you have to get clear on that first so that you can align your community with your values, okay? So concept number 4. This idea is basically doing like regular community challenges and giveaways to just keep your community alive. So you could do like once a month, you do a challenge where the winner receives like X reward. It could be a cash prize, a free month of coaching. They just have like specific actions that they have to complete in order to qualify to win the challenge. Okay, so an example of this that I'm going to share comes from a client of ours, Savannah, that set up a pretty cool system around this. So Basically, it's like, hey, every so often they run a challenge to help inspire and continue moving forward in your journey. The prize package for the challenge is always personalized to the winner, and it's $1,000. Okay, so again, it's $1,000 cash prize, or it's worth $1,000. So the last winner, she gave them a pair of like Gucci sunglasses, full stack of supplements for a supplement company, workout clothes, and a bunch of other stuff like gift cards, books, yada yada. And they hand select everything, or she was like hand selecting prizes for the winner. But basically, all they had to do was post a reel to their Instagram feed, explaining any of the following, like where you started versus where you are now in your fitness journey. What have you learned in the program? What have you achieved in terms of non-scale victories? And then they just had to like tag their coaching handles. So this is like a really cool challenge that not only like reinforces the community because everybody's doing it together and people in the program are going to see each other's posts and support each other, but now you're also getting like tons of exposure from your clients, right? Because there's no better form of testimonial than when a client shows up on their own platform and talks about how great of an experience they had, right? So you just incentivize that. So I thought that's a pretty cool idea. Cool. So concept number 5, this is one that we do inside of IFCA that's been a pretty big success. It's creating accountability partners. So one of the reasons that AA, or Alcoholics Anonymous, is so effective is because of this idea. In AA, once you reach a certain milestone, you end up sponsoring new members who are just a few steps behind you. And this creates like this shared sense of responsibility where now you're not only responsible for yourself and for this person sponsoring you, like your coach, you're responsible for that person behind you, which makes you work harder. Okay. So what we do is we have our clients take a short personality assessment. We use the Enneagram test. I really like the Enneagram. And based on their result, we try to pair them with, like, if you're a 3, we pair you with a 3, or a 4 with a 4, whatever, because that's like really increases the chances of those two like really knowing each other, right? It's like, hey, you guys are both 3s, so we're going to pair you together so you can leverage each other's motivators, skills, and you'll just get each other, right? So another option here that we've seen work with like larger coaching communities, you can do like accountability pods or accountability groups. So basically this would be like 5 to maybe up to 10 clients in a group chat, like in an individual chat, where you assign a group leader to each pod, right? And this could be somebody, each group leader, maybe they receive like a discount for coaching or something, where they like lead a monthly pod call and they keep tabs on those people in that group to just make sure they're staying active and engaged, right? Cool. So concept number 6, this is another way of like making your clients responsible for keeping the community alive. So you can hire a community manager. So community manager, this is something that we did in our company with Transform Forever. And we had like, at the time that we did it, we had like 150 active clients. We had 2 community managers and we paid them each $100 a week plus free coaching. And so these people were already doing the job before we offered it to them. They were already super active in the communities, constantly hyping people up, always in there answering questions, sharing their own wins. So you want to look for those kind of people that are almost already doing it, then just assign them a role, right? Because then they're only going to be more excited about it. It's like the self-proclaimed cheerleader who's just super active. So they'd be responsible for doing a lot of the things that I just mentioned, right? Maintaining and implementing a lot of these systems. And then you would just, compensate them again. Maybe it's $50 a week, $100 a week, kind of depends on how many people you have in. And maybe you have an expectation for them. If they can keep retention above 80, 90%, they get an extra bonus even, right? Maybe it's a $250 to $500 a month bonus every time or every week that the retention is over X amount. Because if your community is strong, your retention is going to be strong. I can promise that. All right. So the very last thing, or actually 2 more things, this one is only going to be applicable if you're a little bit further along in your business. You've got, you've got a back end offer, you've got solid LTV dialed in, you've been in business for a little bit of time. You might want to consider hosting retreats, okay, or like live events, but call them immersion retreats. Make them sound more unique, or exclusive immersion retreats. I like these mainly for like back-end clients because that creates something where if you host these retreats only for your back-end clients, then it creates this level of like exclusive community that's like a layer deeper that somebody has to get into your back-end to have access to. So it almost gamifies